Okay, so they seem to be defecating very consistently, which is somewhat surprising to me because I'm just not very used to, I don't pay a lot of attention to how much the adults defecate. When I see them, I see them do so, but they might do it more than I think because it seems that every 2 days, like both of them definitely defecate, which is pretty surprising because I'm not getting a whole lot of food into them. But I think I've come to the realization at this point of taking care of them for this long that they're essentially just little crested geckos. So after like maybe a week after they're born, they're essentially acting like normal crested geckos, and that's essentially it. So right now their thing smells really bad because I had 2 little containers of food in here just so then they might come across it, and that comes to stink after about 2 days. So I'm gonna take it. I need to get this off, but as you can see here, one of them defecated. I'll get that onto there, and then I need to take this out. And I removed any or all, and then here you can see another one. So they definitely both defecated, which is surprising to me, as I said. But they, I took out any roaches or anything, so I'm just going to go ahead and take the whole container and spray everything in it in my shower, and then there in this temporary container for just a second, and then will feed them. So the enclosures seem to have dried out within the last 2 days, which is not something that you want to be happening. You want to keep them with the proper humidity, so everything's wet already. I'm going to spray it down a little bit more. But one thing that I'm starting to think, that I'm not like sure if this is true, but I'm starting to think that crested geckos are actually benefit from having a water dish, because I've never kept crested geckos with a water dish before, but I'm starting to think that they might actually use it. So I'm going to kind of experiment with that with all my crested geckos. But for now, I have this small peanut butter jar lid in here that I'm just going to go ahead and fill with a very shallow amount of water, and that'll just give them the opportunity to always drink or soak or whatever they want to do in that little bit of water, and they won't drown or anything, and that'll be just fine. But I'm starting to think that might be a thing. So down here in Darwin's enclosure, I have, as you can see, there's some coconut things. So I'm thinking that I'm going to start putting those in each of the enclosures for the the bioactive enclosures, so then they look natural, but they're also providing water dishes. And then in the future enclosure, I plan on having bromeliads, which would definitely also contribute to providing an area for water to sit for them to drink from it. So now I'm going to try to feed these guys, and we're going to see how it goes. So it's nice to have an extra enclosure for them to sit in while I work on cleaning each one. I've noticed that they seem to like it when it's more like wet, and generally if I can get them to stand still for a second, they will start to eat. So I'm going to try to get this guy on me, because it's generally a little bit easier to get him to eat if I'm holding him, but I don't know. Hey, I'm just going to pop in real quick to say that this was filmed on October 28th, about 13 days after the crested geckos were born. So all of this footage might look kind of weird because in my more recent videos, things have been moved around. Also, if you enjoy this content, feel free to like this video, subscribe, and comment literally anything down below, and I will respond. Have a great day, and enjoy the rest of the video. So this guy tends to eat pretty well. Chris, not so much. He has more trouble. So I'm counting this as pretty successful right now, and this tends to be about as good as I can get it. This is actually really good. So I don't know, if it's going to keep licking, then I'm just going to let it. But once it's done, after this seems to be very successful, so I'm not going to push it a whole lot more. I think it's done, so I'm going to go ahead and put it back. There it goes. And it is... It's a little bit difficult to handle these guys. I hope I got that because that was really cool. It ate really well. But I've gotten used to it pretty quickly. So I'm going to make sure. So it's licking its lips, and then I can lick up water droplets and whatnot. So now we have Chris. And Chris is kind of funny. So Chris is, of course, the less beautiful one, which tends to be, for some reason, I resonate with Chris more. But, which is, what I mean by that is, I've always kind of preferred Darwin and Teddy over Linus for some reason, even though Linus is, like, obviously much prettier. And he's been eating really well recently, which is, like, amazing. So, but anyway, this guy looks more like Teddy, so it's going to be really interesting to see how he turns out in general. But he kind of has the eating ability of Linus, or at least how Linus was for a very long time. So we can see if I can get him to eat at all. I mean, he generally does eat a decent amount. It's just harder to get him to focus on food. So, see if I can get you to be on me. That's what generally, if I can get them to like sit in the palm of my hand, they'll generally just sit there for a little while and eat. Come on. Ugh. One thing with the babies is with the adults, I can like expect if they're gonna jump or not. So I'll be like, no, they're definitely not gonna jump. But with the babies, they will jump. They will just take off, which is different. So it's not that they necessarily don't give warning. It's just that they're much more prone to jumping, while the adults don't seem to be. So, which is something I experienced with Teddy. I mean, she was small when I got her, and she jumped way more than Darwin, even though Darwin was still small at that point. It's just something that you notice more with younger Crested Geckos, is that they're much more flighty and they're much more jumpy. But even still, they're not untame, which is something that I've never experienced. I've always experienced with the Crested Geckos, is that they're always tame. So I really someday hope to meet somebody who has one that they claim is untame, and I want to handle it because I want to see how that goes, because I've just never really experienced, like, there's different moods that I find. You see, that was a jump, and Chris had some trouble with that one. But I don't know, I find Crested Geckos to be very tame lizards, and even from literally being born, they are pretty tame. What's interesting is I feel like they're bigger already. I don't know if it's just because I'm more used to them now, but I feel like they've already grown within the very short time that I've had them, or since they've been born, and I just feel like they're already bigger, but I'm not sure. Oh, and then one thing I've been trying to address, or wanting to address, is that Chris's front two toes are connected. Like his middle, like I would say like the ring finger and the middle finger type of deal are like combined. And I don't know if that's just like a baby thing or if it's just like a him thing, but I feel like the other one's kind of like that. On the toes, they're not like that. I mean, on the feet. But on the front legs, they are, or the front hands. And I feel like that's something that they just disconnect over time, but it'll be interesting to see, you know, because I've never experienced that before. So, it'll be interesting. But this is basically just feeding Chris. As you can see, it went much better with the other one. That's just generally how it is with feeding these guys. From what I can tell, they don't really seem to be eating on their own. So that's something, but I still always leave food with them just in case, because, you know, that'd be really great if they, you know, ate a little bit on their own. So I always give them the opportunity, although I don't think that anything's really happening with that. You've made it to the end of the video. Not very many people do, so I'm going to start talking about subscribing and commenting and liking the video somewhere in the middle of the video if I have the opportunity, because I assume people don't generally watch to the ends of the videos, but that is alright. I'm perfectly fine with that. So if you did, you get to hear me pester about subscribing, liking, and commenting down below. But again, if you comment down below and it's something interesting, I'll probably do a talking video about it, because I like to talk about things I've learned. So there's that, and have a fantastic day. Also, I have a lot more geckos now, so more baby gecko content on the way, even though these videos don't get very many views. So that's alright. Have a great day.